We only got an hour today, so what I decided to do was kind of pick two things from the course and how I trade prediction points, and use that as kind of like a jumping board into helping you guys decide how you can better use prediction points for yourself. So we'll do a quick overview, two things out of my course, and then I'll show you guys how I trade. And then, in the meantime, if you guys have questions, we can try to answer them at the same time. So we should now see three charts up for ES, the NQ, and the Dow YM. This is today's chart. I have the ES open as the main screen here because I know most of us here trade the ES, so I wanted to kind of do the course based around that. I personally trade the NQ, but everything that I do can easily be applied to any market that we have prediction points for. For those of you who are new, just some quick things about prediction points. The big theory behind it is we move from these blue lines to blue lines. These blue lines are CPs. Those are the main prices that we use. KPs are these orange lines here. Those are prices that we use in the move to move from CP to CP. And I kind of want to go over this kind of quickly because a lot of this is in the training on the website, so I don't want to go, I don't want to go over it for too much. But when you see really big gaps in the prices, and by big gaps, I mean really anything bigger than 10 points on the ES, that's a big sign that we're going to have some volatility or indecision in the market. Either way, one of those two things is going to happen, because when you have a price like this one here at 39.5875, and the next CP is practically 12 points away, 12 points away. 12 points is a lot for the ES in one move. And most traders, if you make 12 ES points a day, that's great, right? That's a lot of money for anybody. So when we have these gaps, you want to pay attention, because this is just the next natural target. Let me get a little drawing tool here. Arrow line. So when we break this CP and move up to this next one, that's 12 points. Most people are going to be wonderfully happy with 12 points. So you want to pay attention to big gaps. When we have this consolidation down here, moving from 40 to 43 to 45, 2 or 3 points at a time, that's not a lot of movement. And that's not, we're not trading prediction points to scalp 1 or 2 points. We're trying to trade big moves so that you can take chunks out of the market and not trade yourself out by in and out, trying to catch a point here and a point there. And I don't think ES had any small CP to CP. Like this area here, you really wouldn't want to try and trade to hit from this CP to that CP. There's 2 or 3 points isn't enough to make your day worth anything. This gap here is much better, 21 to 35, 11 points. This one, the next gap is even much better, 30 points, 40 points. You want to pay attention to big moves like that, because if we break a CP down here and your next target is up here, 30 points away, who would want to miss a 30-point move? Nobody would want to miss that. So let me get us back and show you. Here we go. This was, of course, like 3 or 4 days ago, and these CPs weren't the same back then, but this gives you the picture of volatility from CP to CP. This is what we're hoping to catch when we trade the gaps like that. When you zoom in here, when we break this CP here, this one isn't the best trade because the break never really gets retested. But the ideal trade is this breaks up, we come back down and touch, and then we get a trade in, and then price shoots off. And when price shoots off like that on ES, if you get up past like 6 points, you're really safe getting to break even. I think even Ephraim does what is it, I think like 5 points or 2 points or something on his LTS trades, that once we go that far into profit, it goes to break even, because you're, on a trade with prediction points, you're pretty safe after that much movement from your trade. Here we have 58 to 54, so like 4 points, 4 or 5 points, and it never comes back. Now, you see here, this is a pretty decent idea of no direction between the market on two CPs. This is the other half of expectancy from the gaps between prediction points. This one's even better. We're just moving around in here with no direction in sight. That's a real big, granted, that's mostly in the overnight, so no big surprise that we have just a big consolidation zone in here. But those are the two big scenarios that we see on big gaps. We got this huge push up, or just a little gap, just nothing going on that's not worth trading for gaps. In my course, I go into much better detail on this, but again, like we only got so much time, so I don't want to cover it, extensively. Oh, let me move this chat box on the other window real quick.
Jaime, can I add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say the bigger the gap in prices, and I think a lot of people think about gaps like overnight gaps or whatever. We're saying how far away the prediction points are from the next closest one. I think the further the gap is, the more likely you're to have this sort of lost in no man's land kind, because we've seen times where it's like there's a 50 or 60 point gap on the ES, and it's like it's going nowhere basically. It's just sideways, choppy, right? So there seems to be kind of a sweet spot. I was thinking, I don't know what that is. I don't know if you have any thought about it, but they're kind of in the sweet spot.
I don't really have it. And it might be something where it's bigger than like 30 points or something, honestly, because ES can really range within 20 points pretty easily. So that's probably a good starting point to look at. But here on the 25th, we have a really good example of a CP. Of course, I don't know what the prices were, but this is just to show you a breakout of a CP on a huge gap. This is 71 up to 930, so almost 100 points on the ES. We break the CP up and come back and retest it, and once we get going after the retest, it's pretty much just up in one direction all the way up to the next CP. Granted, we get some movement around here, but this is how from one CP to the next, you get a break, a retest, and then we go on to the next price. And after you hit that next price, a lot of times the way I trade is I'll take that first hit because I'm expecting a move like this one back here, where after you come down, let's see, where's the last time? I'm almost down here. It was probably it. You come up here and hit it one time, and then that's the new spot you're going to short from. Granted, this is like the retest from this breakdown here that we never got from here, but that's the same principle. We break down, come up and retest, and you're short down to the next CP.
I think that's a really great point. That break right there on the 25th, when it goes up to the next CP, I think that's really a bread and butter trade for a lot of the traders of day trade like a pro, is when you see a clear break to the CP, a couple candles close away from the CP, it comes back, retests it, and then goes up to that next target, especially with those KPs down in the lower part there, and then there's nothing up there. It might take some time to get to the next target, but that's generally where the market's going. And if you don't necessarily need to capture the whole move, because that's 50 points there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But if you capture 10 of that and you leave a runner for the rest, can be pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I know another thing that Ephraim mentioned before was these CPs. They give us the volatility. They also give us the direction. If we've broken this CP and came down to retest it, the direction we're trading in is long to this next CP. When we break this CP down and come back up and retest it, the direction we're trading to is short to this CP. So not only do we know that we have a huge move coming after this breakdown, we also know the direction is down to this CP. And then there's some nuances into this where if we never make it down there, that tells you some important information in the bigger picture of the market, because we know that this CP is the next target. Like this one here, when we broke this CP, we should have come down here to this one. This one should be tested because that's the next logical target. The fact that we didn't come down here and stopped here at these KPs meant that in this area and the overall picture, the market is a bit stronger than what was to be expected. And from here, we've seen today, we've been moving up and up and up and up. So on this move up, we missed the CP. We came down and tested the one previous, came back up, and then we hit it today. See, that was the logical move to hit this CP. It took a whole day to do it, but that's where we came to. So right now, go ahead.
We have a question that came in from Duke. Hey Duke, how you doing? That asked, when it breaks, how do you handle like a big move when it breaks the CP but never really comes back to test it? How do you think about trading that? Is it you just that's not your trade, you don't take it, or you think about chasing it?
Yeah, for me, that's not the trade. I mean, it's unfortunate because you miss this huge move, but that's just not the trade. And that's not the trade in the standard 4 trades that we have for prediction points, which I go over in the class also. But you can most definitely, if you have a higher risk appetite, like on this big break here, oops. Like here, we're sitting here and then we just shoot off to the next one, and you never really get a chance to get long from here again. If you have a higher risk appetite, there's no reason you can't enter here or enter here, and either have your stop down under this KP or even way down here under these previous low just to ride up. I mean, that's not really worth it on a risk to reward ratio, but it's a much higher probable trade, so it's probably not bad. You can do something like that on a huge move that otherwise you just kind of wait. See, like here, this is pretty nice. We get the break here, we stay away from it and come down and retest it almost to the tick, and you can front run the CP a tick or two to get on a retest trade. That's not an issue, and then you just run up to the next CP.
Yeah, and I would say for the newer people, if again, trading that breakout it's probably not the standard methodology with prediction points, and it's really, most traders are trading a retest, so it'll be a break of a price, and then they'll look to either get long or short on the pullback to that price, as opposed to and there's always another trade, right? So you might miss a move, but there's always another trade coming up, and I think that's the key, is having the discipline around that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this break here on this CP today at the open, most of us probably missed that trade. There might have been on the 1 minute a decent entry. Almost.
Yeah, it'd be really quick.
Yeah, you're really chasing that entry, and there's not really another good really good entry long. I guess you could have gone long here if you really, really wanted to get in, but
And the
Just
other thing
sat
to
there
think
for
about
so
too,
long.
the other thing to think about too is when it's rare to see a CP break like that and not to come back and be retested. So the more advanced
Absolutely.
traders might be trading for that CP as to be a target. So, today, what's that 50 on the ES 58 broke was never really retested. So someone getting short up top up there might be looking at 58 as a target.
Yep.
On a short trade there, because that was never really retested there.
Yeah. So again, and this is only looking at ES, which I go through in my course, some other things that can help you probably get long here. If you're looking at some other things, probably get long here. If you're looking at some other things that I go over in my course, that would be, really low risk entries. So another thing I wanted to go over that I have in my course is how you can incorporate prediction points into your own system of trading, or a totally complete different system of trading. So if somebody who is new to prediction points and day trade like a pro in general, one of you guys, if you could in the chat put, just type in a indicator that is used fairly often that you would use in your own system trading. I'll put that on the chart and show you guys how we could use that in conjunction with prediction points to create a trade system around that.
Can you see the chat, Jaime?
I see the chat, but I don't see anything in there. Are people putting stuff?
There's questions. Oh, it's under questions, not chat. So let's see. There's stochastics, 50 EMA, 821 EMA cross, VWAP.
Okay, because we're always making fun of John Steele, we'll do an EMA.
Oh, I was thinking stochastics would have worked too for that, but then I thought, well, why do you need any other indicator? You just buy or sell on the cross and the stochastics. So
yeah, we'll do the 20 EMA. That's a decently quick thing that you can get plenty of trades in the day off of.
And Ephraim, one question that came up was, do prediction points have anything to do with the VWAP? And I know you know the algorithm better than anyone.
No.
Yeah. So
it has nothing to do with anything that you would ever suspect it had anything to do with. In fact, I would pretty much bet my entire life savings that if we put a room of 10 quants, if we put 10 quants in a room for a year and gave them an unlimited amount of resources, I bet they'd never figure it out.
All right. Yeah, that's probably true.
Don't ask me how many times I tried to figure it out before I just bought the algorithm.
Okay, okay, so we have the EMA. So let me see. I can't really see
in the EMA.
So is
821 EMA cross?
I don't even need a second EMA, but I'll do two.
I'm just pulling stuff up from the questions.
Can we get, let's see, is Grant Wilson like actually here? I don't know who that is, but I know since I don't know who that is, it's a new person, so I want to see if he's here.
Is he here? Yes, he's listed as here.
Yeah, is he typing anything?
No,
okay, I just saw him type yes in questions real quickly. Grant, can you do me a favor and give me a number 0, 1, or 2? 0, okay. And then is Gary Lenz here? Gary, if you're here, can you give me a number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? One. Okay. And
This
then
feels like a magic show.
well, so you'll see in a second. How about Matt Wolf? I don't know who that is. Are you here, Matt? If you're here, give me a number between 1 and 4. 4. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Oh, that's actually lines up pretty well. So I was going to look at a month back, 0 to 2. So 0 is this month. The day of the week, 1 is a Monday, and week of the month is 4, which is this week. So we're going to look at March 29th and load prediction points for that day. And then we'll go over using this EMA cross on prediction points. Let me copy the prediction points in real quick. And NQ. Kind of wanted to get a random number sampling that way. Didn't feel like I was trying to cheat.
Not cherry picking.
Yeah. Okay. Reload. And so here we are, the close, Friday coming into. So on a normal EMA cross, let me, I forget if on this VM machine, if I can screenshot. Okay. So I want to draw, I don't want to draw over this. It might be kind of difficult to see it. Get most of the day in here. It's not going to be fair looking at it all at one big picture, but we'll get the idea across. So on the normal EMA cross, we would be looking at this trade here, looking at a trade here, 2 or 3 trades in there, a trade here, 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 another 2 there. And let's see, we'd have 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, maybe 7, 8. So pretty good amount of trades that were possibly winners, depending on what kind of system you were using. Another pretty decent one here might have taken on a break even. Might have gotten whipped up in here. So not too bad for that day on just the 8 and 20 EMA cross. But if you're using this and you have prediction points as well in your system, granted, this trade here, you would have won no matter what. You don't need prediction points to get this trade going. So you get 1 here. This cross here, the way I like to do this with prediction points is wait for prediction points to tell you that you have a reversal or a continuation in the bigger picture of the whatever system you want to use. So we come in here, you're looking at, okay, still short, and we start to see we're getting a long signal here because it crossed up. Trading with prediction points, you wouldn't want to take this long basically at the high of this candle, because when it closes, that's where we're at after the cross. You would want to wait until we see some sort of reaction from a prediction point. Granted, there's not one around here, and if you take my course or look at a lot of the pictures we posted, I like to use a 50% fib between the prediction points. So there's really nothing here to give you a good buy signal. So this buy signal here, off of prediction points that is, this buy signal here would have been just nothing, maybe just an exit, not really a signal to go long. So you save yourself 1 trade here. This short here, you could argue it's a pretty okay trade because we hit the 50% between the prediction points and failed to stay above it. So then when we cross down in the 8 and 20 cross, you can go short, but you don't have a very good target. You have just this next KP. Maybe you can aim for the next CP. And if you do, then congratulations, you just used the 8 and 20 with prediction points to make a nice trade. And you know, you get
So I
one
think the
short
idea
here.
here is we're not necessarily recommending you go and use moving averages, but the idea with prediction points is that it provides you a deeper context about the market and what's happening in the market to guide your where you enter and where you want to exit, take profit, or have your risk.
Yeah. See, and this, it's unfortunate because these prediction points actually gave us really good trades with this 8 and 20 EM8 cross anyway. But this cross here, when they cross on the close of this candle, maybe you wait to get long off this KP on a retest because we're still above it. You don't, you know, you'll save yourself a couple ticks, which, and you know, in this trade, it doesn't really matter. But you probably would have gotten, if you're trading with prediction points, you wouldn't have hit your next target. It would have been pretty close, but either way, it's a profitable trade. And then when you get here on, let's see, it's probably this open to the next one, you probably would have hit the 50%, which, yeah, you hit the 50% and stop. So if you're trading prediction points, you're getting foretold you need to exit here after this doesn't hold. And then we get this cross here in between all this mess. And where are we at? We probably cross here and we're probably right again on 50% between these. And that's too close of a, for me, that's too close of a gap to even have that on. But these are unfortunately really good crosses on this 8 and 20. Let's see, this cross, you wouldn't necessarily have to take because we had the CPs up here. And again, we're right at the 50%. So we're already getting some really good signals off of prediction points, even without this 8 and 20 here. Let's come down. We get a retest off here. And where are we long at if we take this? Maybe here, maybe up here. That's hard. I don't know which candle that would be on. Yeah, maybe we get long here and you're right on this CP, maybe target the next one, but I would wait for a retest down here. And even then you're getting out at a loss or a break even, probably a break even after hitting that CP.
I mean, one thing I would say about any type of strategy that somebody designs is that you remember, and you probably remember better than I do, but in the Market Wizards book, I can't remember who the guy is, but he said that his entire trading philosophy could be summed up in that he basically waits until there's a pile of free money sitting over in the corner of the room and he walks over and picks it up.
Yeah.
And I think traders think that you have to take 15 or 20 trades a day or whatever, you know, and it's just not, it just doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't. And I'm, of course, I'm going through every single possible signal here, which,
right,
you know, but
you yourself are actually a perfect example of, I mean, you're typically, I mean, obviously if you can, you're like a one and done kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to get your trade and be done.
Yes.
And sometimes that doesn't work out. Sometimes you end with a loss for the day. Sometimes you have to take multiple trades to get back whatever you lost and get back on top of your profit. But ultimately, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for if you sit there and you wait long enough and you go, oh, there's a free pile of money sitting over there. I'm going to go pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So let's see if we can find another good example of So here's an example where they help you not go long on a cross. So we get this cross here and we're right on a CP. And if you know anything about prediction points, once we get here and this is crossing at the same time, you just came from this CP to this one. It's not a guarantee that, okay, you've hit this target, now automatically the next one is way up here. Especially in this scenario, when you have a huge gap like this CP is very important in the bigger picture, because if this CP breaks at 61.5 and the next target is up here at 81.5, 20 points away, that's a huge move for ES. So the fact that this one, in the bigger picture, you're not just going to break from here and run up here without any sort of resistance from this point in the bigger picture, because the market isn't just going to be like, oh, yep, here we go, 20 points, la-di-da. It doesn't really happen that way. And if it does, you get a huge move just running right up here, and then it's like an even bigger issue because we just had this huge volatility. So trades like this, where you get a signal right on top of a prediction point going into it as what would be resistance for long or support for short, is where you save yourself entries that normally would get taken. Because if we just say we enter here long on that signal, what's the most profit you get on this? 61. So what, maybe 4 or 5 points, and you're losing 6 points at least, even more on the way down, just because you're taking that long on a cross. You know, it's not really all of these signals in here. You don't really see anything off prediction points that tell you, yeah, I want to take that trade. Even that 50% between them is holding really well as resistance. Here, when you get the cross going down, you could take this short on the retest of the CP. Even though you don't really hit the CP, you get stopped right before, but that's a good signal to go short off that CP retest when the moving averages are still low. Don't really get anything in
There's
there.
a request or question to see if we could shift to talking about NQ a little bit, given the
Sure.
higher ranges and volatility, and I know that's your specialty, so I think that
Yes.
might be worthwhile
What
for
we'll
everyone on the
do
call.
is I'll start to show you guys, since we got about 30 more minutes, how I trade on NQ. Let me get rid of these EMAs. And I go over a couple more indicators that are possible in my course besides EMAs. If those are, if you use other indicators for your trading. Let's go to the start of today. So the way I trade is I come in on the morning. I usually get to my computer right around, that's right around here, 8:15 or so in the morning. And I come in and I look at the charts and I say, okay, what have we done in the overnight? On ES, we've come, didn't really break the high from yesterday, came down and tested the KP, came up. Okay, I see this and I say, we might get a move down to this CP to test again, but I'm looking for a long to come up here to 61.5. And on NQ, I come in and it's like, wow, okay, we really ran up this morning. We haven't retested this CP, but if you look at the move, if you can see my crosshair on NQ, I have it tied with ES. So once we're here, let me add in my 50% fib right here. We came in right here on NQ and tested this CP, and ES was testing the 50%. Oh, wait, I totally forgot. These are not today's prices. Let's put on today's prices real quick. That would make more sense. Okay, much better. Okay, so on ES, we came down. I was about to say, like, what happened to the KPs? Came down and tested these KPs, and I remember telling one of the guys in the chat yesterday that when these KPs are a little different, they're a little lower yesterday, that the fact that we held there and now today the KPs are even higher and they held in the overnight, to me was a sign of bullishness. And we kind of missed this KP, I mean this CP in the overnight. So I was expecting a move up to this one on ES and probably this KP, honestly. And I thought we'd probably hit here and range around in here somewhere before making a move up here to this CP. And on NQ, let me do this a little more. We came up, came down, had support on here, broke this CP and haven't retested it, but we were holding these KPs. So my thinking was that in the morning, oops, when we came in here, my thinking was that we would probably hold this CP. Let me put this 50% back in here. And we were gonna maybe come down to the 50% on ES and test it again before the move up. So I was thinking we would maybe test here, run up through this CP and come up to these two. But then when we started getting closer to the open, we were hanging around here, and I actually think I went long here right before the open, assuming that we were going to hit the CP. And we didn't get it. I got stopped out right underneath the CP on that opening candle. I think it was, let me see, pull my trades up on here. Yeah, I went long right before the open, assuming that we were going to move up to this CP, and I got stopped out at the 50%. Then I entered again right on the 50% because I trade off the 1 minute. So let's go to the 1 minute. You guys can see.
You probably get rid of the text. It might be easier.
Oh yeah, let me do that.
There you go.
So I got long right after the open. I was originally looking for over here a push down. I hate that this is so small. I was looking for a push down into the CP right before the open to go long, and we didn't get it. So on the open, I didn't get here because I was kind of watching ES actually. And ES was just taken off, and NQ came down. So I didn't trade because they weren't moving together. That's the way I trade. I trade confluence between ES and NQ. When they're moving together, I look for, you see how ES was just kind of slowly running up here into the open. NQ was too, kind of right here at 8:15, right when I got into the morning. They were both kind of running up, and I was like, oh, this is nice. They're running in together. I was looking for both to push down and then go long. NQ did it, but ES just ran straight up, and I was like, okay, that's weird. So I didn't trade. I tried to get long on the retest of this KP because we first pushed up and then came down, and I got stopped out. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we were still above VWAP, which I usually have on my chart. I just don't have it right now. And so I tried to get long again when it closed right at the open here. Because I figured, oh, if we held support at the open, we're probably going to run up here again. So we tried to go long again, and I got stopped out below the 50%. And VWAP was right around here also. So when I saw that VWAP is holding and the CP didn't even come close on ES, I got long down at the bottom of this candle because I was like, well, we already tested the CP and I missed that entry. We came right around VWAP right here and held. So this entry right here wasn't exactly low enough for me, but because ES didn't come down to the CP, I took it anyway because I was expecting this huge move up from the get-go. And I was actually in the voice chat with Ephraim and a couple other guys right here, moving my take profit up a little bit to recapture my loss on these two trades. And it was having a hard time, but I was like, man, I know we're going to come up. And it hit me right at the top of this candle. And then we were laughing about it, and then price took off. And this whole time, ES was just moving up. So you see this one candle here, we had some pausing, and NQ starts to pause at the same time. And I was just like, man, we haven't hit the KP on ES. We have some more room to run. My profit is like in the middle of nowhere, but we should be pretty good. And that's what ended up happening. So that was a pretty nice trade. I was done by 10 minutes into the open. That was mainly because we didn't get a push down before the open that I was looking for. And then later on in the day, I took a couple more trades because I was honestly kind of bored and it looked like a really nice short opportunity.
Looked like a bag of money.
It did. I was like, I'm not going to miss this short. So I tried it a couple times, running it up, and then finally caught it and just made an extra 10 points on the total move because I actually had to go to lunch. So I didn't get to hold it longer. And in the chat, you guys can see I was saying like, oh, it looks like it's fixing to turn here. It should happen pretty soon. And I really liked it because ES here was trying to make it up to the CP and couldn't. You see how NQ was coming up and ES was way down here, down below, and so was the YM, the Dow, was hitting this KP at the same time. NQ was trying to make it up here and it couldn't, and ES was way down here. And then cumulative delta, when I took a peek at it, was also already showing divergence. So I was like, it's time to start shorting, and I'm going to try it a couple times because I know it's coming down. I really didn't think we would get past this KP at all on NQ. If you look at if we go to a 5-minute chart, you guys will see the correlation between all of them much better. This is a 5-minute already. So you see here.
Also, Jaime, that KP on the NQ was like an 80-point gap to the next prediction point up there.
It really was. So I already figured that we were going to hold here because we had a huge move up. We got a nice retest off of this KP here, which could have gotten long if I was really, really wanting to trade, but I was just kind of watching at this point because I had just made my profit earlier. So I wasn't too interested in trading again yet. But we just came and we were just moving so fast and so, I was just like, no, this one should hold more than likely. So once we started getting here, ES couldn't hit the CP twice. Let me zoom in. And these are the type of moves that I look for all the time. Where both NQ and ES right here are trying to hit a new prediction point and they're just missing it. So knowing that this is the next target and we can't reach it twice, we've kind of run out of steam on ES. And in the meantime, the Dow has hit up here a high much earlier in the day than ES did, way back over here. Had this huge retrace to a CP, and then by the time we're here up at this one hitting resistance again, ES is starting to roll over. It doesn't make a new high. It was off by like a tick or something, and Q couldn't hit. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep shorting because I might be getting stopped out here, but the move is just because I use a really small stop of 6 points. But and I didn't want to miss the move, so I was front running this KP by quite a bit. But these are the types of moves that I look for to correlate between the ES and NQ. When we move in unison, You can see here we have some lows on NQ, probably on a 50% fib if I draw it in. Yeah, we're hitting resistance on a 50% and then probably a real nice support off 25%. And 75% was kind of acting as support. So right here, we're hitting 25% between the prediction points as support on NQ. YM is hitting the CP at the same exact time as support, and ES is kind of using the CP as support at the same time. So this would have been a real nice trade to go long on any three of the markets because all three are doing the same thing. They're getting support at an important price that we have. And then when ES comes up, ES and NQ are both getting resistance right front running at an important price and they just can't make it up. And YM is hitting an important price as resistance right at the same time. So you could have taken shorts on any three of these and had correlation between the whole market moving together. That was a real nice short on the Dow. And those are the types of trades I look for all the time. And that's just, if you can watch more than one market at a time, more than one chart at a time, that's definitely the way to do it. You can see a lot on prediction points happening at the same time, especially live. It looks really simple when it's here, in hindsight, but when you're watching these candles form live and it's just sitting here and not really moving, and then NQ you see is making a classic reversal candle right in front. Even this one, a huge reversal candle here. If you know how to read price action and you see candles like this that come off of a prediction point, that should have been a huge sign to anybody to sell on NQ, even ES. It's a real nice. Would have been even better if it closed red, but it's a pretty classic reversal signal. Now, I know David touched on the bias indicator that I created that helps give you an idea of what type of trade direction to take. Let me take these trade markers off real quick.
So you're doing that, Jaime. One of the questions that we get from traders all the time is, do I buy or sell this prediction point as price approaches it? And so we got together and had a lot of conversations about how we could inform traders of that, while live. And Jaime came up with this bias indicator to really give you a directional bias on long or short when prices is near a prediction point. And so this is, I think when you guys see this, you're gonna, this is something you might want to check out if you want to have some more confidence or confirmation in, which way you enter. This might be a interesting tool for you.
Yeah, exactly. You guys were getting that question a lot, and this was something that I think Ephraim and I had talked about even on the side on our own pretty often about how we were both looking at the market and how we were finding trades, and how coincidentally we were both finding trade opportunities using totally different methods at the same price, and it was working out pretty well for both of us. So we were trying to figure out a good way to give that kind of insight into the market for anybody, and we kind of came up with the bias indicator. So this is what it did today on the NQ. This is what it did today on the ES. And this is what it did today on the Dow. And this only works on prediction points. If you don't have prediction points loaded on your chart, you're not going to get these signals to pop up. So we got a pretty decent buy signal when we came down to test here. A lot of buying signals on the bottom here, which, that's midnight Central Standard Time, so I don't know if anybody would be trading those, but you get a couple of short signals here. Both of these, this whole area is actually, honestly, I stay away from congestion zones like this to trade, especially with a bias indicator, because the signals are going to be reading all three of these lines, and it's going to be pretty hard to, I would say, to just take one blindly, which you shouldn't be taking any of these signals blindly anyway. They're just giving you a good idea of what direction to take. But you can see on NQ, they didn't really, again, there's a lot of prediction points here, so maybe don't really look at those. But when they're nice and alone like this, you'll get some really, really nice signals that show you if you were looking for a type of trade, like this candle is telling us there's a good opportunity to short. And this one again, I mean, that even without the bias indicator, like I said earlier, that's a classic sell reversal candle off if anybody looks at price action. The YM, we've got a couple of nice signals down here to buy, a couple of nice sell signals that would have been profitable too. You can look in the past.
I think the other thing with the bias indicator as well is it works on any time frame or tick chart too. So if you're, you typically trade a 5-minute chart or a 1-minute chart or a 1,000 tick chart or an hour chart, it will look at that time frame accordingly around those prediction points. So for me personally, one thing I've been looking at is more of the higher time frames. So 30-minute, 10, 15, 30-minute, 60-minute time frames, and I use that for my direction for the day. So if I'm seeing a long bias on a 60-minute, maybe I'm only looking at buys for any prediction points if I'm trading a shorter time frame. So it's definitely something that's pretty powerful, and there's settings that you can configure to suit your trading.
Yeah, right now I have it loaded to only show us reversal signals. If you feel a little more comfortable trading continuation signals, you can load those on as well and only look at those, or you can look at both, but we'll look up here and see what kind of continuation signals we would be getting. It's under the assumption that you're trading with the trend instead of trying to trade against the trend.
I just want to add in that this is really, Jaime, this came about because you and I were having a lot of conversations, and we had different things we were using, which would be, it's a lot to try and keep track of as a trader.
Yep.
And I basically said, could you build something that would look at all this data and then tell me, basically summarize it into a single point on the chart?
Yeah.
So I would know what are all the underlying parameters that I'm looking for, have they all come into play? And then you had what you were looking for, and we kind of meshed that together, and this was born. And because it uses prediction points and the way that it actually works, I think this is the most powerful tool that we have, in my opinion. I know this wasn't meant to be like a sales pitch for the bias indicator or something, but I mean, I love this thing. I mean, we literally developed it so we could use it in our own trading.
Yeah.
So it's it really is. It's really something else.
Yeah, it gives really good signals. Coincidentally, I mean, we used it and sometimes it's really hard to develop something that when you're programming it, you have to use discrete numbers, and you can't really do. I mean, you can program in like a gray box that says if you're around here or around there, and try to take away some of the ambiguity of the decision making in your own head. But this really helps us at a real quick look to see, is there any kind of indication here without looking at 20 different things on the chart that I should be biased towards a buy or sell side. And it'd be really helpful for those of you who have kind of analysis paralysis, so to speak.
So one of the questions came in was, do the signals generate when the bar is forming or when it's closed? And
they generate when it's forming in the middle of the candle. Yeah,
I know we're coming up on time here. I want to make sure that, I mean, this session is for, you know, everyone attending here. I want to make sure that we're addressing all questions. So is there anything else that you'd like us to drill into today? Just put it in the chat. How do we try the indicator? So Hardy, so I just posted a link in the chat, and you can click on that link and try it out. There's an introductory price on that. That's $100 for the first month, and you can try it out and go through that and check it out there. And the other thing that I want to, I've had a number of people send me a message as well and to want to know more about Jaime's actual course that he did. So we have a course, Jaime did a course that has been recorded. There's about 5 hours of what I would call detailed training instruction on prediction points and how to design a prediction point strategy that's for you. And what we've also done is actually another 6 hours of recorded trading footage that applies, it kind of sequentially applies those concepts. And that course is normally $1,000, but I'm going to offer 50% off to the first 10 people. And I'll post, I'm going to post right now in the chat the link to the course and the coupon code to get that 50% off if anyone is interested in that. And again, that's limited to the first 10 people who want to sign up for that course.
I also want to mention that if any of you guys are, now a lot of you guys that are new to prediction points, it's probably a little too early for you unless you already know you need something like some coaching. But if you guys have been having trouble trying to get consistently profitable, you know, if you're interested in some coaching, I kind of want to limit it to about 5 people at the most, but we can go through some coaching and I can help you guys find a way to become consistently profitable. And you know, it's taken me a long time. It took me 7, almost 8 years to get to this point in my trading, and a lot of it had to do with coaching and what I learned here at Day Trade Like a Pro. So you know, if I don't want this to sound you know, too put offy, but you know, the coaching is, from what I found, a really, really big aspect to becoming profitable with trading. It really helps put some framework around your trading that, you know, it's not really training wheels, but it most definitely will help you in the long run become a balanced trader.
Yeah, completely agree on that one.
Jaime, I would just say when you and I met, you were not at a place where you were profitable or consistently profitable by any means.
No.
And it really was, and I mean, there's a process for it. And one of the challenges I think in the world of trading is you have all these so-called gurus out there who aren't really trading, or they're not making their money trading really. And they are selling their stuff or whatever, but there actually is a process to it. I mean, if you wanted to become an Olympic athlete, there's a process for that. We can't promise you're going to win a gold medal if you go through that process, but there is a process for it. And I think that's one of the challenges of in the trading community as a whole, is that you have traders who are looking for kind of that silver bullet or whatever that magic pill is going to be that'll fix all their trading woes. And there really is no substitute for digging in and doing the work that it takes to get profitable, and what ultimately led to you getting to this and having the right, yes, you have the right strategy, but then having the right mindset and the right psychology behind it. It's a process. And, you know, this is only the hardest thing in the world to do to make money, probably. So, you know, thinking that you'll read a book on it or that there'll be a magic indicator that will do it, that's probably not gonna cut it. And the fact that there's someone like Jaime who's been through that and has put 7 or 8 years of work in the trenches and then gets to this point of saying, look, is Jaime making $10 million a year trading? No, but he pretty consistently makes $800 to $1,000 a day trading a 2-lot, and the next phase for him is scaling up his size and working on that from there. And you know, if you were making $10,000 a day, coaching with Jaime might not make tons of sense. I mean, you'll learn something still. But if you're at that point of like you're not consistently profitable, or if you're not making $800 or $1,000 a day on a 2-lot, there's a lot of work to get to there. That's the hard work. The easier work comes with scaling up. So, you know, it's just a matter of time before Jaime's doing 8,000, 10,000 and plus every day. It's just a matter of size from that point. Anyway, that's what I would add to that. Is it's pretty rare that there's someone who is legitimately doing this in the trenches every day and then is willing to help you with that. It's, you know, I mean, yes, there's lots of gurus out there who will say that, but, you know, actually the real experience of it is different.
Yeah, thanks. It's nice to get that confirmation from you because it is, you know, before I came here, it was most definitely me trying to figure out the slowest way to lose my money over time, really. That's really what it was turning into. And also, I know we're starting to go a little bit over, but I'm sorry if some of this information felt rushed. I was trying to throw in as much as I could in this 1 hour from the course that I did. So, you know, if you guys really liked those 2 examples of the information that I gave, you know, really think hard about taking the course. I go into a lot of detail in that course to help someone who's brand new to prediction points kind of work from the ground up to figuring out what they can look to build a profitable system for themselves. And even with that course, you'll get an hour on the phone with me so that we can kind of, you know, go over anything in there. I think it's really helpful for anybody that's new to prediction points.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that will wrap it up. You know, one last comment I just want to leave, especially for the newer people here as well, is I really encourage you to be active on Discord. If you have a question, post it, because I'm sure that other traders have a similar question, and it's a real contribution to the community. I think what you've seen probably is that traders jump at the chance to help you out, especially the successful traders in the room like Jaime and others. So if you have questions about something, ask the question. We're here to support you. We want you to be successful. You know, our mission here at Day Trader Life Pro is to create consistently profitable traders, and that's what we're committed to doing. So, but we can't do that if we don't know what your questions are. So ask questions, be active, and thank you, everyone, for attending. And we'll send out some details on Jaime's course. I'll send out the coupon code, and I'll also post the link for the bias indicator as well. So if anyone wants to try that out there, they can check that out as well. And then if you're interested in coaching, you know, reach out to Jaime and have a conversation with him to see what would be valuable for you. We're happy to tailor something that works exactly what you're looking for. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap up. Jaime, thank you so much for being very gracious with your time and sharing your insight. And we'll see everyone in the room. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.